This morning, something felt off. You didn't say a word to your dog, but they knew. They didn't rush over, didn't beg for a walk, didn't try to pull you out of bed like they usually do. Instead, they just stayed near you, quiet, close enough for you to feel their presence, but not so close that it became overwhelming. And strangely, on the days when you're happy, your dog becomes a completely different version of themselves. Louder, goofier, more demanding. Almost like your dog isn't just living beside you. They're constantly adjusting themselves around your emotional state. And maybe that's one of the deepest ways a dog can love a person. On a normal morning, your dog is full of energy. They want to play, run around, start the day immediately. But then there are those days when you're exhausted. You stay on the couch longer than usual, move slower than usual. Everything about your body feels heavier, and your dog changes with you. They stop jumping all over you, stop bringing toys every 5 minutes, stop trying to drag you outside. They just stay nearby, watching you. Some research suggests dogs are incredibly sensitive to small changes in human body language and daily rhythm. They don't need words to notice when something feels different. Over time, your dog learns your patterns. When you're stressed, your voice changes. When you're sad, your movements slow down. When you're tired, the entire energy of the house shifts. And instinctively, your dog starts adjusting too. Maybe dogs don't think about sacrifice the way humans do. But when a living creature softens their own energy to make someone else feel safer, it's hard to call that anything other than attachment. But your dog's adjustments don't stop with energy. Sometimes, they even change their noise level for you. You're working, and the room feels different today. Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're trying to finish something important, and your dog can feel it. Normally, they might bark to go outside, pace around the room, drop toys in your lap over and over again. But today, they're quieter. They lie beside your desk, look at you for a second, then rest their head back down, almost like they understand this isn't the moment to pull you away from your thoughts. What's fascinating is, dogs don't learn this after one experience. They learn through repetition. Hundreds of tiny reactions from you over time. When you're relaxed, you laugh at the barking. When you're stressed, your body stiffens. And dogs notice that difference much faster than most people realize. Some researchers call this social referencing. Dogs constantly read human emotional states to decide how they should respond. Which means, sometimes your dog isn't quiet because they suddenly need less. They're quiet because your emotional state matters more to them in that moment. And sometimes, love doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes it's just a creature choosing to become gentler because of you. But there are moments when quietness isn't enough anymore. Moments when your dog completely breaks their normal rules. You're angry, not mildly irritated. The kind of emotion that makes the entire room feel heavy. You set things down harder than usual. Breathe heavier than usual. Walk around the house like your mind is somewhere else. And your dog notices all of it. Normally, they respect your space pretty well. But today, they walk straight toward you, lean against your leg, rest their head on your knee. Sit so close, it's like they refuse to let distance exist anymore. And the strange part is, they often do this at the exact moment you're barely holding yourself together. A lot of people say dogs understand emotions. Maybe they do. Or maybe their nervous systems are simply incredibly sensitive to changes in yours. Some studies point to physical contact between dogs and humans lowering cortisol, the stress hormone, for both sides. Meaning, sometimes, when your dog leans against you, it isn't only emotional. It's biological too. That's why there are days when one warm head resting on your leg suddenly makes breathing feel easier. Not because your dog solved your problems, but because they pulled you out of the isolation inside your own mind. If your dog has ever quietly walked over and sat beside you on one of your worst days. Comment number 1. A lot of people don't realize that was love until years later. And somehow, it gets even stranger than that. Sometimes, your dog doesn't just change their behavior. Sometimes they delay their own needs. You've been working for hours. Normally, after a while, your dog starts pacing around the house, bringing you the leash, standing near the door. But today, they just wait. You think they're simply being good. But what's happening underneath goes deeper than that. A healthy dog naturally wants movement, stimulation, and release. Those needs didn't disappear. They were postponed, almost like your dog senses, my person needs to finish this first. And what's interesting is, the second you're done working, they instantly change back. The tail starts wagging harder. The energy comes back. Their whole body becomes alive again, which means your dog was never low energy at all. They were holding it back, not because they were forced to, but because their bond with you made them adapt. And many people never realize this. Dogs living in long-term stressful environments often start changing their sleep patterns and alertness too. They walk softer, make less noise, watch their owners more carefully, almost like their bodies are constantly trying to predict whether the home feels emotionally safe today. That's the beautiful and heartbreaking side of this bond. Your dog doesn't just live inside your house. They live inside your emotional rhythm. And sometimes, they know exactly when waiting quietly is no longer enough. There's a huge difference between being busy and disappearing into your own mind. Humans usually don't realize when they've gone too far into that state. But dogs sometimes notice before we do. You stare at a screen for hours, barely move, barely react. And then your dog walks over, pushes your hand with their nose, places their head on your lap, forces you to stop for a few seconds. A lot of people assume dogs are just asking for attention, but sometimes it feels more like a rescue attempt, almost like your dog is saying, "Come back." You'll notice this most strongly in people who've lived alone with a dog for many years. Over time, dogs learn almost every rhythm of their human's life. Sleep schedules, energy levels, good days, bad days. And when something drifts too far away from normal, they react. Not perfectly, not magically, but enough to make you lift your head and reconnect with the world again. And sometimes, a tiny moment like that is enough to save an entire day. If your dog has ever done that for you, leave a like. Your dog may understand you more deeply than you ever realized. There are days when you walk through the door feeling completely okay, not stressed, not exhausted, not overwhelmed, and your dog changes immediately. They become more playful, more energetic, more chaotic, almost like they finally have permission to fully be themselves again. And this is something many people never think about. A dog that's deeply bonded to their owner doesn't just respond to the environment. They respond to you. When you're stressed, they become more alert. When you're quiet, they soften. When you're emotionally steady, they finally relax. Some studies even suggest dogs and humans can synchronize cortisol levels over time when living together long enough, meaning your emotional state may not only affect your dog psychologically, it may affect them physically too. And maybe that's why the most beautiful moments aren't when your dog is wildly excited to see you. Maybe it's when both of you are finally calm. Nobody trying to fix anybody. Nobody trying to pull anybody back. just existing together. And that brings us to the most important part of this video. Late at night, you're lying in bed. Your dog is beside you. No demands, no noise, no need for anything. Just two living beings breathing in the same space. From the outside, it looks tiny. But maybe that moment is the result of thousands of invisible adjustments built over years. Your dog learned your voice, your footsteps, your moods. They learned when to come closer, when to wait, when to stay quiet. And you changed too without realizing it. You became softer, more patient, more protective of another living creature than you ever expected. Over time, two nervous systems became familiar with each other's existence. That's why so many people say a house feels empty after their dog is gone. Not just because the footsteps disappeared, but because their entire nervous system had adapted to that presence. Maybe the way dogs love us isn't the same way humans define love. Not through words, not through grand romantic gestures, but through constant adjustment, through choosing every single day to stay close to you one more time. You started this video asking, does my dog really love me? Maybe now you have a different answer. Not from words, but from the tiny things your dog does every single day. The way they lower their energy when you're exhausted. The way they become quiet when you need peace. The way they pull you back when you disappear into yourself. The way they wait longer than usual for you. The way they finally relax when you're okay again. Maybe a dog's love doesn't look the way humans usually define love, but that doesn't make it smaller. If anything, it might be even deeper. Because a dog's love isn't built on words. It's built on the quiet way they organize their entire life around you. And if this video made you see your dog a little differently tonight, subscribe. Because in the end, the smallest things dogs do for us are usually the things we miss the most later on.